call to order. Are we still, do we still have people coming in? Yes. Slowly. Right now I'm going to pause the meeting just for 2 more minutes to allow a couple more people to come in, and then we will continue with the meeting. 6:05, we're going to call the meeting back to order. My name is Sheila Orsi. I'll be your moderator this evening. As I plan to do at every meeting, I'm going to thank everyone who voted for me, and also say if you want to vote for someone else in the future, you're welcome to do that. I'm happy to be here, and I'm thankful that you all wanted to have me help you with this meeting and make some good decisions tonight. If you can bear with me, I've only done this a couple times, so I want to make sure that I go through my order correctly and do this correct for you. One thing that I want to do is identify the emergency exits for you, so if there is an emergency, please be sure that you look around the room. Right now, I would like everybody to be safe in case anything happens. We're pretty proud of it tonight. Also, any non-registered voters. We do have a non-registered voters section. We would appreciate it if you're in that section. If you are a registered voter, you should have a band on your hand. Can you all show me that? Yay! If you're going to vote, I need you to put up the hand that has that band on, please, okay? I appreciate that. Cell phones. Please ensure that your cell phones are all silent. We want to make sure that we go through this nice and quick. And hopefully we have a nice meeting tonight. When you are working on an article this evening, I would ask that everyone please direct any statements or debating directly with myself. For most of any questions or debating, I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to speak and or pull up the next person and do 2 minutes. I figure 2 minutes should be plenty long enough for each person to be able to discuss what they need to discuss to give the voters enough information to be able to make a good decision. Okay? Up next would be the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're about to stand, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I do want to make a couple quick announcements for some people that we want to recognize in the town of Brookfield that we're pretty happy about. We've got some new staff in the fire department. So we'd like to recognize Fire Chief Keith Marshall, and also Deputy Chief Tom Bassett, and Assistant Chief Don Maley. It's nice to know that we've got some fresh faces in there, so that'll be nice. And anybody who ever wants to go down and say something nice to your fire staff, they work really hard for you. One other person that I would like to congratulate here as well would be our new Chief of Police, Mr. Ryan Daly. One other announcement is we do have first night, which is December 31st, which is New Year's Eve. We will have a lot of fun things happening in town, so be aware that there is an announcement out there for that, all the different things that are going to be happening for that from 2 o'clock till 4 o'clock, so you can still do fun stuff at nighttime as well, okay? Up here on the board with me is Tara Hayes. She's our town clerk. Myself, I'm the moderator, Sheila Orsi. We've got Jason Petritis, who is the chair of the select board. And then we have Jamie Gilman, who's also our selectman, and Ralph Kay, who's our selectman, and Mary Beth Kowalski, administrative assistant to our board of selectmen. We also have Brian Riley, who is our town council, who is here this evening as well. So thank you all for acknowledging everybody for that. Does everybody have a copy of the articles this evening? I just want to make sure you have them so that if you need them, we can get them to you. Perfect. Okay. And the finance committee would be Joe. He did come up to me earlier and say that he is pretty satisfied with his committee and that he didn't feel like he had to come up to talk about something because he said that everything looks good. So if you're all okay with that, unless you're looking for specific statement from the Finance Committee. Joe says everything looks pretty good. And he's already looked over the articles and they look well to him. One other thing that I would ask for this evening is to see, we'll test out our voting right away, is to see if I could get unanimous consent to be able to recognize any non-voters this evening, to be able to give you the discretion to choose amongst that. I would ask for a raising of hands for unanimous consent. To go the other way, is anybody opposed to that? Okay, fair. So then when we get to a point where a non-voter might be able to speak, I would ask for a majority vote for a non-voter to come up to speak. Okay? All right. Anybody have anything else tonight? All right. That's one else. Just in case. Are we ready for Article 1? Article 1 is to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to general stabilization or take any action thereto. Is there a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $300,000 from free cash to general stabilization or take any action relative thereto.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion to be had on this article? Just to let you know, if there is discussion to be had, I would appreciate if you would raise your hand and come up to the front, because it's a little hard to hear in here and we want to make sure everyone can hear. And when you are making any kind of discussions, make sure that you direct them to me, okay? There's no discussion? Okay, send that over to you. This needs a majority vote to pass, so I would ask that anyone that is in favor, please raise your hands. And all opposed. That motion passes. Article number 2. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from the animal control officer salary to the police vehicle and police supplies or take any action relative thereto.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $675.58 from ACO salary to police vehicle, police supplies, or take any action relative thereto.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any discussion on that article? This article also is a majority vote. I would ask that all in favor, please raise your hands. And all opposed, please raise your hands. That article passes. Article number 3. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from animal control salary to animal control expense or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $500 from animal control officer salary to animal control expense or take any action relative thereto.
Second.
Is there any discussion on article number 3? Article number 3 also requires a majority vote. I would ask all that are in favor, please raise your hands. And all that are opposed, please raise your hands. That motion passes. Thank you very much. Article number 4. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from police salary to police overtime salary or take any action relative thereto.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $12,000 from police salary to police overtime salary or take any action relative thereto.
Second. I got a second. 2. Is there any discussion to be had on article number 4? Article number 4 also requires a majority vote. I would ask all that are in favor, please raise your hands. And all that are opposed. And that motion passes. Article number 5. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to police facility expense or take any action relative thereto.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $1,755 from free cash to police facility expense or take any action relative thereto.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Is there any discussion to be had on this motion? This motion also requires a majority vote. I would need raising of hands to lost my train of thought. To pass this. I would need to pass this vote, raise your hands. And if you're opposed, here you go, that motion passes. Article number 6 is a 9/10 vote, so when we vote, I'm gonna vote backwards. I'll ask for the opposed first, and then the approved afterwards. So article number 6, to see if the town will vote to transfer the following sums of money. Green Gold lease stabilization, $112.93. Green Gold police personal stabilization, $180.67. Green Gold fire personnel stabilization, $115.06. Free cash, $3,000, $3,048.34. To the selectmen prior year bills, and to further vote to close out these stabilization accounts or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer the following sums of money. Green Gold lease stabilization, $112.93. Green Gold police personnel stabilization, $180.67. Green Gold fire personnel stabilization, $158.06. Free cash, $3,048.34 to selectmen prior year bills, and to further vote to close out these 3 stabilization accounts or take any action relative thereto.
Yeah, I second.
I've got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion we have on this article? Any at all? So I would vote anyone who's opposed to this article, please raise your hands. And anyone who is favoring this article, please raise your hands. I would say that's 9/10. Going with council. It looks unanimous. I didn't see any opposed. Okay. Article number 7. This also requires a majority vote. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to capital improvement planning stabilization or to take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $100,000 from free cash to capital improvement plan stabilization or take any action relative thereto.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Is there any discussion to be had on this article? Any at all? All of those who are in favor, please raise your hands. And those opposed? That motion passes. Article number 8. This one also required a 9/10, so we'll run this one backwards as well. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to highway, other expenses, or take any action relative thereto. This is for a prior year bill.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $180 from free cash to highway, other expenses, or take any action relative thereto.
Do I have a second?
Second.
First and second, is there any discussion on this motion at all? None at all. I would ask you that we do this backwards, so anyone who is opposed, please raise your hand. And all those who are in favor, please raise your hand. We're going to go with unanimous. Okay. There you go. That article passes. Article number 9 is also a 9/10 due to it being a prior year bill. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to highway, office supplies, or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $246.62 from free cash to highway office supplies to take any action relative thereto.
I second.
I have a first and second. Is there any discussion to be had on this article? Any at all? All right, we're going to run this backwards as well, since it's a 9/10. If I have anyone opposed, could you please raise your hands? What?
No, you did it right.
Okay.
I'm not thinking.
And anyone who's in favor, please raise your hand. All right, that looks unanimous. That motion passes. There you go now. Order. Article 10. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to highway, vehicle supplies, or take any action relative thereto. This is a prior year bill.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $1,602.40 from free cash to highway vehicle supplies or take any action relative thereto.
Second.
That's been first and seconded. Do I have any discussion on article number 10? Any at all? Again, we need a 9/10 vote on this, so I'm going to run that backwards as well. Anyone who might be opposed to this article, please raise your hand. And all those who are in favor, please raise your hand. That looks like a unanimous vote to me as well. That vote passes on article number 10. Article number 11. To see if the town will vote to raise, appropriate, borrow, or transfer a sum of money for highway vehicle supplies to cover repairs for a 2010 John Deere loader, as well as the 2005 and 2006 turbos, or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $22,500 from highway salary to highway vehicle supplies to cover repairs to a 2010 John Deere loader, as well as a 2005 and 2006 turbos, or take any action relative thereto.
Do I have a second?
Second.
That's been first and seconded. Do I have any discussions on article number 11? Any at all? This requires a majority vote. I would ask that all who are in favor, please raise your hands. And all opposed? That article is definitely majority, that passes. Article number 12, because this is a prior year bill, we also need a 9/10 vote on this one. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to parking expense or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $36.21 from free cash to parking clerk or take any action relative thereto.
Second.
It's been first and second. Is there any discussion on article number 12? Can you please come up?
Right, it's just a quick question. What is parking expense?
So I need you to state your name.
My name is Susan Lyons. I live on Bell Road. What's parking expense?
Who are we going to have speak to that? Free cash parking expense.
It's the parking clerk. If people don't pay their parking tickets, we send it to Jeffrey and Jeffrey, and we have to pay Jeffrey and Jeffrey.
Okay.
And this was missed in the switch over from fiscal year 25 to 26.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any more discussion? So this is a prior year bill. We need a 9/10 vote. I need anyone, we're going to run this backwards again. Anyone who's opposed to this article, please raise your hand. And anyone who is in favor of this, please raise your hand. Thank you so much. That article passes. It's unanimous to me. We are coming right along. You're doing a great job, I'm going to tell you. We're on article number 13, halfway through. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to zoning board of appeals or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $88.20 from free cash to zoning board of appeals or take any action relative thereto.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Is there any discussion we had on this article at all? Any at all? This is also a 9/10 due to it being a prior year bill, so we're going to run it backwards as well. And anyone who's opposed to this article, please raise your hand. And all who are in favor, please raise your hand. That looks unanimous to me. Article 13 passes. Oh, here, that's for you. Thank you. You're welcome. Hold on a minute. Article number 14. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to the town electric sign or to take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $2,500 from free cash to town electric sign or take any action relative thereto.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a first and second. Is there any discussion to be had on Article 14? Any at all? Article 14 requires a majority vote. I would ask all who are in favor, please raise your band hands. And all of those opposed? Thank you very much. Majority passes. Article 14. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to the Finance Committee Reserve Fund or to take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $15,000 from free cash to the Finance Committee Reserve Fund or take any action relative thereto.
Second.
It's been first and second. Are there any discussion on article number 15?
Clarification on what those funds are used for.
No, I can hear you. I need you to please come up, and if you don't mind, or at least give your name from where you're at.
Lisa Payne,
And are you a registered voter? What address are you at, Lisa?
Hillside Ave,
Okay. Continue with your question.
asking for the clarification of what those financial funds would be used for.
Great question. Joe is here from the Finance Committee, so Joe could speak to that. If you don't mind standing up for me, Joe?
The Finance Committee every year has a set amount of reserve funds to be used for any emergency situations where you would need to take care of something, damages or whatever, that you don't need to go to through stabilization, you have to go to a special town meeting. In the 3 years I've been on the committee, when I came to the committee, we had 150,000 reserve. Then it was removed down to 100,000 reserve. Currently it's 35,000. And we feel that 50,000 would give the town a cushion for any situation that comes to an emergency situation.
Are there any examples of emergencies?
Joe, could you please stand up? I have a lot of people that aren't able to hear, they wanted to hear your answer to your question. Please, dear.
Hello. We can't hear you from
How about coming up front?
Go up front, you know.
I would prefer actually that most of you would come up front for your questions. It does help for everybody to be able to hear, and that means we let it flow. We normally have microphones, so we're at a little bit of a disadvantage having it down at this area. So if you don't mind speaking out, Joe, so that people can hear.
Yeah, so we had a situation this year where the railing broke off on one of the roads, which fell onto the ground. And that created a hazard for any cars coming down the road. And so the highway department came to the Finance Committee and said, listen, we need to repair this now. We can't wait until we have a special town meeting and take this out of stabilization. So the Finance Committee then did allocate half the money for that repair, and the Highway Department put the other half of the money for about a little more than half. So the repair is getting done. Lots of times at year end, one of the biggest problems we have is there's not enough funds in police overtime, or fire overtime, or gasoline, or salt. So you need to go and pay these bills. You need to go and purchase salt. And you just can't have a special town meeting to do that. So at least 50,000 gives you some support. In 2000 fiscal year 25, we spent 90,000 of the 100. Last year we spent, I believe it'll be 35, we spent 29. So we just, we keep on coming back on budgets, and it's these departments to to be managing their budgets. So we have to have some money aside to give them relief.
Did it satisfy your question, Lisa?
What is the current money society?
Right now, 32,000 approximately.
Satisfies the question.
Okay, thank you. Joe, you want to wait one more second? Does anybody else have any questions while Joe's up here? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate you. That was first and seconded, and I think we've ended discussion. This is article number 15, and we need a majority vote for this. So all that are in favor of article 15, please raise your hands. And all that are opposed? Great, that article passes. Thank you all so much. Article 16, crossing out the next one. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to raise, appropriate, and further transfer a sum of money from free cash to school expenses or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $87,638 from free cash to school expenses or take any action relative thereto.
Second.
That's been first and seconded for Article 16. Do I have any discussion on this article at all? Any at all? Okay, I need a majority vote in order for this to pass or fail. So for all those who are in favor for Article 16, please raise your hands. And all those opposed? Majority passes. Article 16 passes. Article 17. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from sewer retained earnings to sewer department repair/vehicle for the purpose of purchasing a replacement truck, specifically a Ford F-350 or equivalent vehicle, including all related equipment and accessories, or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $95,348 from sewer retained earnings to sewer department repair vehicle for the purpose of purchasing a replacement truck, specifically a Ford F-350 or equivalent vehicle, including all related equipment and accessories, or take any action relative thereto.
Do I have a second? I have a first and a second. Do we have any discussion on Article 17? Any discussion at all? This would require a majority vote. All in favor, I would ask that you please raise your hands. And all opposed. Majority passes on Article 17. Thank you. Article 18. Yes, Bill to come up first. Prior to introducing the article? Article 18, to see if the town will vote to amend the North Brookfield zoning map as follows, or take any action relative thereto. Have the residence open district R30 be replaced with the residence central district R11 from the intersection of High Street and Abbey Street and Bigelow Street versus Summer Street to approximately 200 feet beyond the intersection of Bigelow Street and Downey Road. The district would include all the properties between Bigelow Street and Summer Street, as well as property 200 feet from the south of Bigelow Street, 200 feet north of Summer Street, and 200 feet east and west of Downey Road. The Downey Road change goes north to the first unnamed road. I'm going to ask Bill King to please stand and come up and give a discussion before we even make a motion on this. You can't discuss the motion? Oh, never mind. We're learning as we go. Okay. Is there a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to amend the North Brookfield zoning map as follows and take any action relative thereto. Have the residence open district R30 be replaced with the residence central district R11 from the intersection of High Street and Adams Street and Bigelow and Summer Street to approximately 200 feet beyond the intersection of Bigelow Street and Downey Road. The district would include include all properties between Bigelow Street and Summer Street, as well as property 200 feet south of Bigelow Street, 200 feet north of Summer Street, and 200 feet east and west of Downey Road. The Downey Road change goes north to the first unnamed brook.
Second.
Been first and seconded. I would like to open up discussion for Bill Page, or at least make a discussion on the meeting, and just tell us how that has gone to the planning board.
Just have to confirm that we did have a public hearing on September 24th. It was properly advertised in the New Leader 2 weeks prior to that date. And there was 2 members of the public present at the public hearing.
Excuse me.
Need a recommendation from the board?
And it is a unanimous vote of the planning board that we support this article.
Great, great. Do we have any discussion?
Peter Nagel, 137 Summer Street and 129 Summer Street.
Thanks, Peter.
Is simplified, is you just want to change zoning from 30,000 to 100,000?
Correct.
I would like to let the board know and everyone else know, for many, many years, I paid full taxes on 129 Summer Street. About 11 or 12 years ago, they decided, well, we made a mistake. So instead of $1,100, $1,500, $2,000 a year on 129 Summer Street, it went to $12 a year. So suddenly it's now the other way around. Is that what's going to happen?
What size is that lot you're talking
It's
about?
3/4 of an acre, roughly.
So it probably is, if it's a separate
So
deed.
do I get a rebate on the 10 or 12 acre, even though it was the assessor's mistake?
You have to bring that up. with the
Yeah, I think you'd have to
assessors.
bring that up with the
That's
assessor.
part of the planning board.
Even more twice.
Yeah.
That's all I
That
had
would
to
have to
say.
go to the assessor's office, but I'm glad that you stood up to ask. So. Thank you. Is there any more discussion on Article 18? We would need 2/3 to be able to pass this, so... Oh, really? Okay. So we could have done that. Okay. Okay. Oh, yes.
I don't understand.
Can you repeat your name for me, please, and where you live?
Yes. Aubrey White, Maverick Road, recently now Mount Pleasant Street.
Sure.
What does the zoning change imply for the people in those areas?
Bill, can you attest to
So
that?
all these streets that we're discussing and where the zoning map would be changed for, they all have sewer and water access. And it would help the water and sewer department if they had more opportunity for the subdivision of people's lots that do exist. And so lots that are bigger than 11,000 square feet would have the opportunity to probably have an accessory dwelling unit lot, and perhaps even further subdivision. And so that's why we're doing it. And it also provides a special permit opportunity to have a 2-family dwelling.
Satisfied?
Yes.
Perfect. Any more discussion? Peter?
Who originally put that up for a vote? You said September 12th?
September 24th was the hearing.
Yeah, who backed that proposal?
The proposal was kind of a longer story, but to try to make it short. Michael Toomey and Jim Lovett own property on Summer Street,
Yeah, of course.
and they have single-family houses, and they wanted to have 2-family houses. So they came to the planning board and wanted to have an exclusion in our dimensional table regulations. The board thought that that was inappropriate, and so we proposed this zoning change to accommodate that.
Of course. Should have been.
So the R11 district will permit a 2-family house up to a 4-family house with a special permit.
Regarding 129 Summer Street, it's big enough to build on it. But in 1964, the town of North Brookfield put a 4-foot pipe under that piece of property going from Summer Street to Air Street. And now it's usually 10, 12, 15 inches of water in that field. So
That's an issue to bring up with the assessors, whether it's
Yeah.
buildable or not is their issue.
it should be accepted anyway.
I think that that's something that we could definitely bring up, Pete, as you move on with the assessor's office, and bring that up with the planning board as well. Yeah? Is there any more discussion on Article 18? I'm gonna run this one backwards just to see how this works. Is there anyone who is opposed to this article? And all those in favor? So being that this is not a unanimous vote, we have tellers? Okay, we have tellers. So I have Mary Beth as one of my tellers and Brian. So if Mary Beth, if you want to take half of the room, I'm going to split this. I think I'm going to have you come down from this side over here.
So we're gonna raise your hand first.
So I'm going to have all of those opposed, please raise your hands again. Please keep your hands up nice and high. Split it right here. Okay, thank you very much. And all of those who are in favor, please raise your hands. We have 97. Both of you have the same? Yeah. Hold on, we're doing some math. That's how It's tight. It's tight, people. It's tight vote. Hold on. Plus, we're terrible at math, okay? So we're gonna figure this out. So the vote count, just so you're all aware, 65 people voted. It was 44 to 21. We needed 43 in order to pass it. 43 passes. We got 44. So 44 people passes that vote. So we're moving the article. That was Article 18. Article 18 passes. All right, Article 19. This is a majority. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to town council or take any action relative thereto.
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $15,000 from free cash to town council or take any action relative thereto.
Second.
I have a first and second on Article 19. Is there any discussion on Article 19? Any discussion at all? This is a majority vote. For all of those who are in favor, please raise your hands. And all of those opposed. We need a majority to vote, and that vote passes. Article 19. Article number 20. This one requires a 9/10 vote to pass due to it being a prior year bill. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from free cash to Board of Health expense or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $1,156.50 free cash, Board of Health expense, or take any action relative thereto.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And first and seconded, is there any discussion on Article number 20? Any discussion at all? Article number 20 is a 9/10 vote. So I'm going to run this one backwards as well. Anyone who is opposed to this article, please raise your hands. And all of those who are in favor, please raise your hands. Article number 20 passes. Article number 21. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from water, retained earnings, to water repairs vehicles, or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $5,000 from water retained earnings to water repairs vehicles or take any action relative thereto.
Second.
That's been first and seconded. Do I have any discussion on Article number 21? Any discussion at all? Article number 21 requires a majority vote to pass. I would like to see all in favor, please raise your hands. And all opposed. Majority on that, Article 21 would pass. Article number 22. To see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from water retained earnings to water building equipment maintenance or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $46,000 from water retained earnings to water building equipment maintenance or take any action relative thereto.
Second.
I have a first and a second. Is there any discussion on Article number 22? Do you mind coming up to the front and stating your name?
They'll hear my voice. Joe Pauly, 42 Wakeford Road. I just don't understand how all this is going around. Doesn't these departments get a budget? You gotta work within the budget instead of moving all this money around like this? Because I mean, I was in the United States Army and a disabled vet, and we had to work within a quota.
Sure.
So I don't understand how this is all being moved around like this. Maybe it's because of my taxes.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand that.
Do we have someone that can speak to that?
Jamie, you want?
I thought, why?
James Juan, Water Superintendent. Yeah, to answer your question, we do have a budget which has a certain amount of money into it, but when certain things that break beyond what we budget for, unfortunately, we have to pull money from retained earnings. Right now, we've had no heat in the office part of our building for 3.5 weeks. Waiting for that to be repaired. Unfortunately, that's a $28,000 repair to our heating system. So there's a big chunk of that money. The other one is our raw water pump down at the pump station. We have 2 of them, thank God. One of them is down, and unfortunately, it's not a very easy thing to fix a 200 horsepower electric pump turbine system, which also, unfortunately, when we went to shut down the heat valves to isolate that valve, the pump to have it fixed, the heat valves failed. So, unfortunately, when you're dealing with a water system that's 120 years old, certain things pop up that we cannot anticipate. We budget as best as we can to keep all the water uses in mind, as best we can. Basically about all I can say about that, unfortunately. Things just happen and pop up and are unexpected.
So my question would be, preventive maintenance been being done on this stuff properly?
Yes.
Or are you just waiting for it to work?
I would ask that you direct your question to me.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, if Jamie.
Yes, ma'am.
I could direct you.
Is preventive maintenance being done, or you just wait until it breaks and then the taxpayer has to pay?
So Jamie, I'm going to let you attest to that.
Yes, our heating system is actually maintained and serviced twice a year by Renata. Unfortunately, it has been failing. We put about $15,000 into the system over the past 10 years, just limping it along until this has finally happened. And unfortunately now, the reason why it's so expensive too is with the EPA's, what this is, it's an HVAC unit, and it does our heating and cooling. So now with the EPA's upgraded Freon clause, our outside air conditioner condenser is outdated now. So once they put a new coil and a new unit in the attic, they have to actually change the HVAC outside as well to make everything blank so it's still working. But yes, these things are maintained properly as far as the pump. we grease, we maintain these things, but unfortunately, packing, I mean, it was just serviced, I think, 5 years ago. Unfortunately, sometimes the packing just lets loose on certain things. No rhyme or reason to them, but yes, we do have monthly, weekly, daily SOPs, checking on all of our equipment.
So that's all your answer for right now? Thank you, sir. Do we have any more questions?
John Quick, I just want to state that when we've taken money from retained income from the water department, it's the money that the water users pay. So Joe doesn't pay for water because he's way on the bill. So this is from the retained earnings of the water department. So they have it in their budget. But to spend it, they need to get it okayed to spend out of their budget, if I'm right. Am I right, JD? Yeah. So this does not fall on all the taxpayers, it's from the water users. It's the same thing with the sewer retained earnings. When sewer asks for a pump from their retained earnings, it's from the sewer users that are going to pay that bill. They need to get it released. You can't just go spend $40,000 without asking for it to come out of that account. I hope that tells everybody what. That's where the money comes from, that account.
Thank you. Anybody else have any discussion we have on article number 22? Article number 22 needs a majority vote. I would ask that all are in favor, please raise your hands. And all those who are opposed. Thank you. Article number 22 passes with majority vote.
Thank you.
Article number 23, to see if the town will vote to transfer a sum of money from water, retained earnings to water, supplies and materials, or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that the town vote to transfer $9,000 from water, retained earnings to water, supplies and materials, or take any action relative thereto.
Do I have a second? I have a first and second on article number 23. Is there any discussion to be had on article number 23? Article number 23 also requires a majority vote. Any discussion at all? I would ask that all those that are in favor, please raise your hands. And all those opposed, please raise your hands. Article number 23 passes with a majority vote. Article number 24. This is a 2/3 vote. So we might have our tellers come and help us out a little bit again with this one. To see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to grant and convey to New England Power Company a sewer easement on a portion or portions of the town-owned property known as 59 East Brookfield Road, assessors parcel 43-759. The site of the Department of Public Works, described in a deed recorded with the Worcester South District Registry of Deeds in Book 270, page 284, which portion or portions of the town-owned property are approximately shown on the sketch plan entitled, we're not sure, said plan on file with the town clerk on such terms and conditions as the Board of Selectmen deems appropriate, and further to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into such agreements and execute such documents and instruments as may be necessary to, I don't know how to pronounce that. Effectuate, thank you, the purposes of this article or take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move that we pass over this article.
Thanks, Ralph. Where is it? Can I have it? Still have to send it down. I think you said that we're going to move on it, right? I have a first and a second. Do I have any discussion? Can you state your name and your address again for me?
Arkwright, Mount Pleasant Street.
Thank you.
Can you condense what you just said, please?
I cannot. I will allow Jason.
So the electric company has a substation on Donovan Road, and they're going to be accessing a manhole on the other side of the road on town property. And what they were going to do was purchase an easement, but rather than purchase the easement, we're going to work with them to give them a licensing agreement instead, so there's no need to purchase it. That's why we're passing over.
Thank you for that message.
So do I just need a majority vote for that then?
Yeah.
So I only need a majority vote in order to pass over this vote. So I'm going to ask all who are in favor to pass over this vote, please raise your hand. And all those opposed. That article is moving on. All righty. Move passed over. No, it looks like they're going to see some stuff. Article number 25. This one would require a 2/3 vote. To see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to release certain rights and easements at the property of New England Power Company located on Donovan Road, Assessor's Map, to be determined. The said rights and easements described in that certain easement, deed dated August 6, 1893, recorded with the Worcester South District Registry of Deeds in Book 1433, page 402, on such terms and conditions and for such consideration as the Board of Selectmen deems appropriate, and further to authorize the Board of Selectmen to enter into such agreements and execute such documents and instruments as may be necessary to effectuate, should have probably learned that before I started this, the purposes of this article, or to take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I move the town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to release certain rights and easements as described in Article 25 of the special town meeting warrant, and to endorse any documents and/or instruments as may be necessary to effectuate the purposes of aforementioned Article number 25, or take any action relative thereto. Assessor's Map 38-57-59.
Second.
It's been first and seconded. Do I have any discussion on this article? Can you state your name and your address for me again?
Lisa Payne, Hillside Ave.
Thank you.
Can we get Layton's firm, please? Sybil.
So, National Grid is going to be doing an upgrade on their substation on Donovan Road, and the town has a sewer easement that we'll never use underneath the property on that substation. So National Grid is going to purchase that easement from us so they can expand their operation. Does that answer your question?
That was easier. Yes.
Legalese, right?
Do you have any more discussion on this article? Any discussion at all? We need a 2/3 vote in order to pass this article. I'm going to ask possibly my tellers to help out with this one. Anyone who is opposed to this article? So opposed first, raise your hands. And all those who favor this article, please raise your hands. That looks unanimous to me. I don't think we need to count them. Article 25 passes with a unanimous vote. Article 26, I have a feeling you've all been waiting for this. I would ask, if you're going to be speaking to this article, that you please be respectful to each other. I am going to give each of you 2 minutes. The person who is bringing the citizens petition up, if they make a motion, is going to be allowed a 5-minute presentation, and after that, each person would be allowed 2 minutes. I ask that you be respectful. Article 26, to see if the town will vote to create a bylaw that bans the sale of both glass and petroleum-based plastic products containing alcohol beverages sold as deposit or single-use containers of 100 milliliters or less, commonly known as NIPS, or to take any action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Madam Moderator, I'd like to make a motion that the town vote on Article 26 as written. I move to create a bylaw that bans the sale of both glass and plastic petroleum products containing alcoholic beverages sold as deposit or single-use containers of 100 milliliters or less, commonly known as NIPS.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Can I ask your name and address?
My name is Bruce Arnold. How is everybody?
I would ask if there, I've got his second, Deb. Seconded. I would ask if there is any discussion to be had, and with opening discussion, I would ask that Bruce take 5 minutes or less to please present why the citizens petition is an article.
Okay, sounds good. Start that time, would you?
It's going.
Thank you. So anyway, folks, I'm really happy to see all these faces. I don't think we've had a fall meeting that's been this well attended. And as a result of this meeting, I think something will change. And I'm happy to understand that. Now, Debbie and I acquired a brown chocolate lab 4 years ago. Andy gets a treat every time he picks up a nip bottle when we go out walking. This bag, and I've got to tell you this bag is a result of only 3.5 continuous hours of walking and picking up nips. 400 nips in here. Now I know you're all afraid I was going to open it up. I won't open it up. It's scared to death out of me picking them up. But anyway, here's what I'd like to do. I've got some information for you. There's a lot of misinformation on keyboards going out. That's fine. Here's your explanation. And I don't need to do this much more. I really would encourage you to vote yes on this article. This information, some of it's here. There's not a lot of meat in this thing. Let me talk to you about it really quick. These are irrefutable facts. Discarded nip bottles are litter. Regardless what you think of it, they are litter. Discarded nip bottles lead to the introduction of nanoplastics and microplastics in our food and our water supply. And the bad news, it's too late. You're already part plastic. This stuff lives in all of your organs. You got it going on. Nip bottles encourage drinking while driving, and they're discarded to avoid an open container violation. Now, how else would you put a nip bottle on the road if you weren't driving the car? How would that happen?
You're walking.
Okay, so...
I would ask that we just let Bruce discuss,
so you are
and we
walking.
can open discussion after.
Nips encourage underage drinking. These 4 points are irrefutable facts. Okay, these small plastic bottles are not only waste, it's considered litter, but the ones that are most oftentimes overlooked. Excluded from recycling programs and no deposit, no return programs are offered in Massachusetts. Massachusetts suffers from litter in the form of empty and discarded plastic and glass alcoholic beverages sold as nips. They're sold in a variety of convenient shapes and sizes, under 100 milliliters, but because they are small and usually carry no deposit value, they're often discarded after consumption of the product that they contain. Our urban and rural roadways are strewn with them. The unsightly litter is washed into storm drains. The nip bottles make their way into brooks, streams, lakes, and eventually into the ocean. You can't rake nanoplastics out of the ocean. Fish feed on the surface. That's where the nanoplastics live. According to National Library of Medicine, as plastic degrades, it releases nanoplastic and microplastic that are transported easily to contaminate our waterways. The micro and nanoplastics are ingested by fish and wildlife and absorbed into our produce. As plastic bottles break down, they release harmful gases into the atmosphere. The sale of nip bottles contributes to drunken driving. Empty nip bottle is easy to dispose of and avoid your open container violation if you're stuck. The NIP also contributes to underage drinking. They contribute to the underage drinking because they are easy to conceal and dispose of. Large concentrations of discards can be found on streets close to local package stores. I have a frame in town that says, "I live 1 nip bottle from the packet." That's sick. The Connecticut Stormwater Planning Committee, facilitated by the Pioneer Valley, has reported a alarming number of nip bottles found in their source-to-sea cleanup efforts. Over 16,000 empty nip bottles were recovered from the Connecticut River over the last 5 years, and there's a lot more of them there.
Bruce, I think we've hit our 5-minute target.
Do we have time?
We're at a 5-minute target.
Okay, let
You
me
want to
just-
wrap it up with one last sentence for us?
Let me wrap this up. It's your decision. My thinking is this. You have the opportunity to change things right now because we're all here, a vote going either way makes a lot of sense that we're going to fix things.
Perfect. I appreciate you, Bruce.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Did we have
Questions?
anyone else that would like
Feel
to
free.
speak on this article? If you could come up to the front, please, so that everyone can hear. Great.
John Tripp, 6 Crooks Road. I really don't think that it's up to the Board of Selectmen that can ban the sale of a legal product in Massachusetts. I honestly don't think anybody that would vote yes tonight that they can ban that in Massachusetts because it is legal to sell. I talked to liquor store owners and NIPs are 40% roughly of their income. They're not responsible for the buyer throwing them out. That's the buyer. If we can catch more buyers, I picked up 94 of them 3 years ago on Crooks Road, put them in a tree, and it was on Facebook. So what I would like to do, I would like to amend this article, this proposed article, to ban these products, and instead to impose a 15-cent deposit per bottle, NIP. I don't have all the technical stuff that Bruce had, but petroleum-based, whatever. This deposit would be held by the liquor store owner, and they would be responsible to return said deposit as the bottles came back. This money, deposits, would be the property of the seller if the bottles are not returned. John Tripp. That's my proposal to amend the article. It's up to the townspeople to do that. Right in here.
I'll take that, John. Yep. Give me 1 minute. We're going to discuss it for a second.
Yep, there's
Okay.
copies of this.
Madam Moderator,
Can you give me 1 second? I would need a second on John's amendment if anybody would want to have this amendment start to move forward as a motion.
motion.
Second. So there's a second. Can you give us 1 second? Who's my second? I need a human being's name and address. Mindy Tripp. Thank you. What's on the floor currently right now is an amendment to article number 26. Do you want me to read it again? Hold on 1 second. The amendment is to propose the bylaw to ban the product and instead to impose a 15-cent deposit per bottle NIP. This deposit would be held by the liquor store owner and they would be responsible to return said deposit as the bottles came back. This money deposits would be the property of the seller if the bottles are not returned. It's been first and second, and so that motion is currently on the floor. I would like to have our attorney, Brian Riley, speak to this prior to asking for a vote.
Through you, Madam Moderator. Just so you know, anytime the town adopts a bylaw, it has to go to and it's approved at town meeting, it goes to the Attorney General, they review it, and they decide whether there's any problems with it. The main test is it inconsistent with state law, and if it's not, then typically they approve it. I haven't dealt with this issue before, but my guess is because the bottle bill and the compulsory deposit is under state law, my guess is the Attorney General would not approve this where one town is imposing its own return deposit. That's my opinion.
Madam Moderator, I have,
Yeah. Bruce, would you like to speak on this amendment? This motion is for the amendment. Would you like to speak on it?
I'd like to address two parts.
Okay, could you come up and I'll give you 2 minutes?
First of all, Mr. Tripp mentioned the selectmen don't do this or can't do that.
If you could just make sure that you just direct it just to me, and we're not going to worry about Mr. Tripp himself.
I'm looking at it.
Okay.
So,
Let's go.
So I just said it, but
Yes.
Mr. Tripp is in error where the selectmen can make this decision.
Well, I think what's currently on the floor right now is the amendment. So I just need to know if you wanted to speak to this particular amendment, because we need to vote on that, because he put it on the floor.
I also want to question our town attorney in saying there are no town students.
You can speak.
There are towns that have a ban on the 100 milliliter bottles that have been approved by the Attorney General. It was the imposed deposit to the liquor store, which is in the amendment that I haven't seen, and my best guess is the Attorney General would have a problem with it.
Thank you.
Sue, would you like to come to speak? Can you state your name and your address?
Sue Lewandowski, 2 Air Street. I don't think that would work if he took a 15-cent deposit that had nothing written on deposit. Anybody could bring nips back here. You wouldn't have any way to control that 15 cents.
That might be true. If this passes, it would go to the Attorney General. The Attorney General will determine if this is true. All right, we do have a motion on the floor. Would someone else like to speak on the amendment?
Yeah, I got a question. My name is Jim.
Yeah, can you stand, please, if you can? And just state your name and address.
James Calamari, Brown.
Thank you, sir.
I think we had a proposition, an alternative, but there may be people holding back on voting until they hear other alternatives.
I got them.
Okay? So what we ought to do is listen to other people that may have other alternatives and then vote.
So we can, but right now, what happened is this came onto the floor. So people need to vote on the amendment first, because that's the motion that's been made. So you can vote yes or no on that, and we can keep having a discussion on that particular amendment, or we can move to vote.
That's the way over there.
So I believe that the gentleman over here is a non-registered voter. So I would need to get a majority vote from the people in here to be able to allow this gentleman to speak. So I would ask all that are in favor that would allow a non-registered voter to speak, please raise your hand. And anyone opposed? If you could please come up. Yeah. You're welcome. Come up.
Am I allowed to speak only on this second amendment?
This is on the amendment that just was put through on 15 cents.
So,
Can you state your name and who you are, please, sir?
So I'm Yogesh Patel. I own the Bob's Deli. We've been part of this community for decades, as you guys know. Let me first start by saying that we agree that the town streets should be clean, right? And we support that, and we want to support it, right? And so we want to do what we can as a business, as part of this community. We would love to support it, right? We love the idea of 15 cents. The only concern as an owner I have is there are so many towns around here where people will go buy the nips there. If you buy 10 nips, it's $1.50. They buy it there, they drink it here, and they get it back to us, and we lose actually $1.50. And we actually, it's a losing business, right? I want to be very clear. We want to support the clean streets, right? I'm just not sure if that would be economically possible or make sense as a business, right? So I just want to throw that out. I want to stress, we want to help the community keep the streets clean. Obviously, I can argue the fact that there are straws or Coke bottles or something else. That's plastic on the street. So how come we are only being punished for just for this? While saying that we really want to support community to keep the streets clean, right? So let's find a solution where we are not unfairly being punished, but we are also solving the problem, right? So we are all for it. That's all.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming out. Thank you guys for allowing me to come up to go. I had one more in the bag, also unregistered. Yes? So again, I would need to ask the majority if they would allow someone who's an unregistered voter. Please raise your hands to approve. Okay, come on up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ashish Patel. I own a business in North Brookfield, liquor, and this impact of banning NIPS is like 40% of our business. So 40% of business, if anybody around this, anybody over here that people have a business, they understand if you lose 40% of revenue from your business is the biggest impact of the business.
So Alex, I'm going to stop you for a moment because we're not talking about the ban. Right now what's on the floor is the amendment. The amendment is to be able to have each of the liquor stores actually get 15-cent deposit. So if you want to wait and if you don't mind, if you have something else you might want to say regarding to the 15 cents, you're allowed to speak on that, but not on the ban. Okay.
So if we can put 15 cents on the NIPS, but that you have to take it to the state level. If they take it to the state level and ask them as a main state, well-known state, they already started. And they can most welcome put that 15 cents on it and bring it for us, and we can charge customers, and we can take it and take a returns as that. But I'm not sure is legally you cannot charge 15 cents to any customer. That customer only, we sell it as $1, $25, $50 a piece. And we cannot charge customers like 15 cents extra.
I think that we'd have to take that to the Attorney General and they would have to accept it or
Right,
approve it.
so that's my opinion on that.
Right, okay, thank you.
I'd like to talk about that, about the NIPS thing.
So we're not on the ban, so if that comes up, we're certainly welcome to have you come up. Sir?
Yes.
Can you state your name?
Darrell Hyder, 23 High Street. I would only say that I have read that Connecticut has passed a 5-cent deposit on nip bottles, and there's no evidence they claim that it has reduced litter at all. I would say that's an argument against this amendment.
Great, that's what I'm doing.
Greater likelihood that
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I call the vote.
Oh, I've got someone calling to vote. Let's vote. Is there a second? Second. We're voting on the amendment. So I need a majority vote to pass this amendment. So all in favor, please raise your hand to pass the amendment, and all opposed. All right, the amendment does not pass. Okay. So now it goes back to the original motion that we had by Bruce. We do have Jason Petrides who would like to speak on this motion.
So this is just a point of order. This is done by a citizen's petition. The selectmen cannot do a bylaw change on their own. This was brought up by a citizen's petition. We have not made any statements whether or not we approve of it. It's here before everybody because citizens signed a petition to bring it here. Okay? That's the only point I wanted to make on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have anybody else that has any discussion on Article 26, the original motion? Can you please come up and state your name and address?
Sue Lewandowski, 2 Air Street. I was one of the ones that originally signed the petition to ban the nets. I did so for 2 reasons. One, that I've been doing the Earth Day cleanup for many years, and I'm appalled at what I'm finding thrown out the windows, especially on the scenic back roads. I am also in long-term recovery from acute alcoholism, so I know why the evidence is tossed out the windows in the back roads before turning home. And in the last couple of weeks, I've done some extensive research, and I've personally come to believe that neither a yay or a nay vote is going to solve the problem. We are faced with 2 competing truths. Yes, discarded nip bottles lead to nanoplastics in our food and water, and it's not a good thing. Nips are used in underage drinking and drunk driving and are discarded to avoid open container violations. And yes, nip bottles are the most commonly found items during cleanup events. However, I also don't believe the banning of sales of nips will solve the problem. Those who irresponsibly consume nips and other forms of alcohol will still discard nips out the window, whether they buy it from their town or wherever. Beer cans and fast food containers and cups, they're all along the side of the roads, even though nips are the most common. And yes, this will affect our businesses in town, and it's not fair to them because of irresponsible citizens. So this, again, I say we are faced with 2 competing truths. If we vote for the bottle ban, the problem will continue. If we don't vote for the bottle ban, the problem will continue. I've done a lot of research, and I've talked, I'm sorry.
Sorry, you get 2 minutes.
I have talked to the police chief today. I've talked to senators. There is a bill that came out of whatever you call it, regarding the bottle ban and adding all bottles up to gallon size to have a 10-cent ban. This would include nips.
Thank you.
So really think about how you're going to help me do something about it, and either way you vote.
Thank you
Because
very
I
much.
have solutions.
Do we have any more discussion? I've got one in the back first. And then you can just state your name.
Joe Pauly, 42 Wake Corner Road. First of all, drinking and driving without a is wrong. And I can't, accuse the person that did that is wrong. But banning anything like this in this town, I go to East Brookfield, I can go to Spencer, I can go to West Brookfield, I can go to Bear. That ain't gonna do anything to stop anything. Back in the day when they had the beer bottles and the beer can all over the road, and they put the 5 cent on, you used to have young men and young women picking up the bottles and the cans. Why? For whatever reason. Maybe they were tired, maybe something to do, maybe they wanted to make $1 that day. I don't really understand that. But if you put a 5 cent thing on the local business people in this town, that's going to make a lot more work on them because they don't really know if it's not coming from another town.
That's been taken off the table. This is just to ban nips. So you would only be discussing banning nips.
I know.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you very much for coming up. Peter, I think you were next, and then I've got someone in the back here too.
Peter Nagel, 137 Summer Street. Medically speaking, Bruce made a statement before, it's probably too late. And he's right, it's probably too late. All of us have microplastics and nanoplastics in our system, in our bones. I have congestive coronary artery disease. It's in the sludge in my arteries. They have been not on me yet, they haven't been biopsied because I'm still alive, I think. But anyhow, we've got to do something. We've got to start somewhere with any nips, any plastic in the system. This sweater I'm wearing tonight is 70%, 30% cotton. I kind of like it. But the 70% is polyester, which is a microplastic. Every time it goes in the laundry, drain, it rinses, goes down the drain to the water system, goes down. They don't have any way of getting rid of it, and it's gonna wind up in your system, so. We gotta figure out how to solve that problem, and also take care of all those medical speakers.
Thank you, Peter. Do we have any more questions?
Madam Moderator, I have several things I want to clarify, things that were stated that are not correct information.
I did have one other hand up in the back before you, Bruce, if they're still interested. Oh, I've got one over here first. Sheila.
I make a motion, we move the question.
Second.
It's been first and seconded. We need a majority in order to pass this article. No. So I had discussed that I had originally personally wanted to do this by ballot, but our bylaws state that I have to take a hand count first, and then if there's doubt, we can take a ballot count, okay? So I would ask that all are in favor of passing this bylaw and banning our nips in our town. Please raise your hands. And all of those who are opposed to adding this bylaw to our... That article does not pass. I want to thank you all very much for being very civil about everything and listening intently. And we're not you guys want to bring what?
Madam Moderator, I would like to make a motion to rescind that vote. Rescind it right now.
I have a motion on the floor to rescind that vote. Move that. Seconded? It's been seconded. So that's been back on the floor for a second time.
Discussion?
My opinion, the vote on that article was taken and recorded. There isn't something in state law that says you can just vote to rescind the vote.
Yes, there is. Town meeting.
Well, I would say this, Brian. Why don't we allow that to happen? I'll allow the voters to vote one more time.
There is a motion to reconsider, which
There's a motion
is the same thing, that accomplishes what you're talking about, I think, sir. So you can make a motion to reconsider the vote we just took. That requires a 2/3 vote of people here to put it back on the floor.
Madam Moderator, I do believe that rescind is included, but let's go ahead and reconsider the motion.
That's why no one was supposed to leave.
I'll second what you said. It's been first and seconded, so what is on